You're listening to the Remote Millionaires Podcast, the show for aspiring and established entrepreneurs who want to create and scale six-figure success online without being chained to a job, location, or computer. I'm your host, Tom Gaddis. Let's dive in. Hey, Tom Gaddis here, and welcome to another episode of the Remote Millionaires Podcast. Today I'm flying solo. It's getting a little cooler in Vegas, so I'm feeling nice and comfy in my white flannel shirt and got some sweatpants on. Thought I'd hang out here and record some great content for you. You know, with the holidays coming up, I thought this might be a good time to take a step back and maybe share some things that we do inside Remote Millionaires to keep our members on track and keep them moving forward. You know, the holiday season, it's a busy season for everybody, right? You have a lot of extra stuff going on. Business owners have a lot of extra stuff going on. So it can be a challenge to stay on track. And, you know, whenever new members come into Remote Millionaires, they're always, their eyes light up at all the amazing things we have inside that program, right? The standard operating procedures, the systems, the processes, the how to get client strategies. I mean, there's a lot of, things in there to consume and be like, wow, this is really exciting. But we really have to work with people to take a step back in the beginning and really focus them in on a couple of foundation things that are super important. And that's what we're going to talk about in this episode. One of those foundation things is goal setting, because when you have so many things to choose from, right? Like building a business is not easy. If it were easy, everybody would do it. There's a lot of stuff you have to figure out, learn, and do as you're building a business. Now, when you're in a program like Remote Millionaires, where you have a lot of that stuff handed to you, it can make it easier, but it still requires effort. It still requires thinking. It still requires, a plan on your part to be able to do all of the things that need to be done. I mean, people always ask us all the time, they're like, well, what's the most important thing to do? Like, I don't know how to break this to you, but it's all important. Like, you have to do it all. You have to be able to prospect. You have to be able to build your team. You have to be able to get your systems and processes in place. There's no way around it. Those things have to happen. Otherwise, you don't have a business, right? So a lot of times we spend the beginning of Remote Millionaires helping people step back, bring in what Nick and I love to call the circle of focus, things that are important, and make a plan that helps. And the first thing we do to help them achieve that is teach a strategy called SMART goals. Now, this is something that I learned as a corporate restaurant manager back in my days at the Olive Garden, a Darden restaurant. And it's something I've carried with me ever since then. It's a really effective way to set goals and stay on track and achieve what you want to achieve. Now, I'm going to give you a couple of resources with this episode. So if you want to see the slides, the little slide that I have, it's just one slide. You can go to our Remote Millionaires YouTube channel, and you can see the video of this podcast, see me talking in the slide there. Also, below this episode, when you go to remotemillionaires.com/podcast and you click on this episode, I'll give you a SMART goal worksheet that you can use to help you fill in your goals and do that. But what makes SMART goals so special, right? And why should you use this as a goal setting technique? Well, SMART is what do they call it? An anagram. It stands for specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and timely. Right? So let's talk about each of those, because this is what makes SMART goals so powerful and ultimately allows you to get things done. The first step is specific. So any goal you set, you want it to be specific. And this is an area where I see a lot of people struggle, right? Because they'll have a goal of like, I want to make $10,000 a month. That's their goal. Well, that seems specific, right? But really, it's very, very general. Like, well, how are we gonna do that? How are we gonna make $10,000 a month? Are we gonna find one client that's gonna pay us $10,000 a month? Are we gonna find two clients that are gonna pay us $5,000 a month? Are we gonna find more clients paying us like that goal of $10,000? Well, it seems specific, is actually very, very broad. So when Nick and I are in these situations, we like to backtrack and go, okay, well, if I want to make $10,000 a month, what things have to happen before that, right? Well, first, I have to get, if I don't have any clients, I have to get my first client. Like that's the very beginning, right? I have to get my first client. And if I want to get one client, then I need to know what service I'm going to offer. I need to know what I'm going to charge for that service. I need to have a way to prospect for that service. And I need to be reaching out to those ideal prospects every single day. That's how I'm going to get that first client. So instead of, now we can backtrack that all back and we can get very, very specific, right? So if I don't have a service, my goal, in the next 48 hours, I'm going to pick a service to offer, right? Or maybe we don't know what businesses to target. We can set a goal like in the next 3 days, at the end of 3 days, I'm going to decide what niche I'm going to go after. Now, I do want to address a question when it comes to services and niches that I get all the time. Everybody always wants to know, what niche should I start with? What service should I offer? I'm going to kind of burst your bubble right now. Just so you know, there is no magic niche. There is no magic service. We see students in all kinds of niches, doing all kinds of services, all having success. What's more important is that you get the processes in place, which for us are the revenue producing activities of prospecting on a consistent basis. So SMART goals can help you do that. So we want to get really specific. So don't just set a goal like in our example of 10,000. Like we really want to break that thing down to specific. We want to make it super specific. So, I need to pick a service to offer, right? Now, that needs to be measurable. So how am I going to know when I reached that goal? Well, for this one, it's pretty easy, right? I'm going to have a service. Like I'll have picked a service. So that's how I know I'm going to reach it. So like it's pretty evident. Is the goal achievable? That's the A in SMART goals. Achievable. Is achieving this goal realistic with effort and commitment? Have you got the resources to achieve this goal? If not, how you get them? So achievable is another area where I see people struggle with, right? Again, let's go back to our $10,000 a month goal. Well, they'll say, look, I want to make $10,000 in 30 days. Yet they've never generated a single dollar from helping a client with their digital marketing. I don't know that that's totally achievable, right? Like there's some things you need to figure out in the process. So maybe we need to backtrack that again and say, look, 10,000 in 30 days, that might be a stretch, but we could definitely do 1,000 in 30 days or 2,000 in 30 days, right? A little more realistic. And you also have to look at, and I said like with effort and commitment, right? Is the goal realistic with effort and commitment? If you're working a full-time job, 40 hours a week, like you're not going to, you have to be realistic about the time and effort you can put into doing this. So I know everybody likes to think, yeah, well, I can work my 40-hour job and work 40 hours doing this, but that is extremely hard to do and it is not sustainable. So be realistic. It's like, it doesn't matter how quick we hit our goal. What matters is that we just get there eventually, right? So make sure you're specific, make sure you're measurable, make sure the goal is realistically achievable with your resources, effort, commitment, all that stuff and what you've got done. The next one is relevant. That's the R in SMART goals. So relevant. Why is this goal significant to your life? This is really about your why. You hear people say that, find your why. Well, why is it important for you to hit this goal? This is really a motivational part of this, like writing out like, look, I want this because blah, 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 blah. This will make everything easier. Once I have this, then I can move to the next step. I'm going to feel like I'm getting traction. Right? So giving yourself reasons as to why this goal needs to be accomplished to keep you motivated. Now, the T in SMART goal stands for timely. When will you achieve this goal? Very important that we set time limits on our goals. We do not want them to just live in perpetuity. So in our pick a service example, I might give myself 48 hours or 3 days, time to research, but not enough time to linger. Because when it comes to things like picking a business name, picking a niche, picking a service, we want to obviously think about them and make a smart choice, but we don't want to get bogged down in paralysis by analysis and not being able to move to the next step. A lot of those things, business name, niche, service, those things can be changed. What's more important is that you start doing and learning the processes underneath, because the processes underneath are the same regardless of what niche service you're offering. When it comes to business name, I know that's something everybody struggles with. I've changed my business name 5 times. No one ever noticed. It was never even a big deal. I thought it was going to be this monumental thing. It never even turned into that. So look, know what's important, what's not. What's really important is that we stay focused and get to the revenue producing activities as quickly as possible. So when we're using a SMART goal, we're setting a goal that's specific. You know exactly what you're going to accomplish. It's very, very specific. So if you have a big goal, you'll want to break it into smaller, specific ones. It needs to be measurable. You need to know, it needs to be clear that you've reached the goal. So set a very clear milestone or result for when you hit the goal. It needs to be achievable. It needs to be realistic with your effort, commitment, and time. That's a big one. You need to be realistic about how much time you have to put into this, all right? And the resources you have available. It needs to be relevant. You need to know why it's important, why this goal is going to get you to the next step. That way you stay motivated when you run into the challenges. Some of these goals you're going to set, and they're going to look easy. You think, oh, this is going to be easy, and you're going to run into a lot of challenges. How are you going to stay motivated to keep at that goal no matter what? There are goals that Nick and I have been working on for years. I mean, 3 years. 3 years we've had this goal, and we've just been chipping away at it, not making success, not getting to where we want to go. Chip for 3 years. How do you stay motivated for 3 years on a goal? Well, you have to have a very clear why it's important. You have to really understand that it's a critical piece of your business, and you have to figure it out. There's no giving up. There's only figure it out or give up, and we're not going to give up, right? So that's how we stay consistent and work on those goals for extended amount of times. And then finally, timely, you need to set a clear deadline. When will you achieve this goal? Now, in that example I gave where our goal is taking us 3 years, we set deadlines on it, but we haven't been able to quite crack the code. So we just have to extend the deadline and keep going and keep going and keep going, right? And then finally, look. Why are your goals important? What are the benefits of achieving them? What are the potential obstacles in your solutions? Who are the people you'll ask to help you? These are other things you want to consider when thinking about your goals. I love to make a little audit of my strengths and weaknesses. So I really know what my tendencies are, and I can identify when I need to get help or how I can get help. So what are the resources I have available to me? Well, if you're a member of our community, right, we have an amazing Facebook group, Remote Marketing Agency Owners, our Facebook group. It's amazing. That's an amazing community. It's a great resource. You can ask questions there, right? We have a support desk. You can email our support desk, right? You can ask us questions. We have courses you can get. Those are all resources. So I like to make a list of all my resources, all the people that I have that I think I can call on for help if I need. That way, when I run into these obstacles and problems, I already have a plan, right? I'm already thinking oh, I'm not really sure what to do here. I should probably, you know what? I'm going to go to the Facebook group and ask this question because I'm not really sure what to do here, right? And that's how I continue to move forward with SMART goals, get over obstacles, and just keep achieving. Right. And it's a process. The first time you do these, it's going to feel clunky. You're probably not going to be specific enough. You might overshoot the mark, but just keep doing them. Keep setting them. A framework that we like to tell for our Remote Millionaire students is just get in the habit of every Sunday setting down and writing out your goals for the week. A really great format to use is you write out what I accomplished last week. This is the progress I made last week. Here's what I'm going to work on this upcoming week. And then a third category for what I'm struggling with. Put pen to paper, get it out, write it down so you can look at it. When you look at that, what I'm struggling with, then it becomes clear. Look back at what you're trying to do this upcoming week. Is what you've set in your goals going to help you get over those struggles? And if it's not, you might want to rework that middle section so that what you're working on is going to help you get through those struggles. And if you can't figure that part out, then, well, who can I reach out to about what I'm struggling with and get help? That's super important. All right, look, I hope you enjoyed this episode of the Remote Millionaires podcast. I know I enjoyed putting it together for you. download the worksheet, set SMART goals, use them to achieve what you want. And then next week, we're going to do an episode on dealing with overwhelm. So until then, I'm Tom Gaddis. Go to remotemillionaires.com/podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, leave me a review. I'd really appreciate that. And I'll see you on the next episode of the Remote Millionaires Podcast.
Hey, if what you've heard today on the Remote Millionaires Podcast resonates with you and you want to continue the conversation, then I want to personally invite you to head over to remotemillionaires.com and schedule your free Remote Millionaires business development call. We will analyze your business and show you exactly how to accelerate your results and build a wildly successful business you can run from anywhere. Until next time, Tom Gaddis, signing off.